Hey class, Mr. Reynolds here. We're going to go over solving two-step equations. This is going to be 8-3. This will be a quick run through just to see how this thing works out. Here we have solving two-step equations. Here's an example. In the equation 3n minus 4 equals 11, we're trying to find out what does n equal. The reason they call these two-step equations is because to solve it, you have to go through two different steps. The first step we have to do is to add 4 on both sides. Once we add 4 on both sides, we'll be left with 3n equals 15, at which point we divide both sides by 3 and get our answer. Now, that might not make a lot of sense to you just yet, but that's okay, because it will by the time this lesson is over. Now, on, I think it was last week we learned about solving simple equations. We learned about the addition rule of equality, the subtraction rule, the multiplication rule, and the division rule of equality. Basically, if you do the same thing to both sides of an equation, the equation remains true. So let's look at that 3n minus 4 equals 11 equation. So we have 3n minus 4 equals 11. Now, the addition rule of equality states that if we add the same number to both sides, it'll remain true. But the main reason we're going to add the same number to both sides is because we're trying to isolate our variable. Our variable is n, but right now we have 3 times n, and then we have minus 4. Well, remember I told you, you do the addition and subtraction first when you're trying to isolate the variable. So add the same number to both sides. In this case, what we're going to add is going to be 4. So 3n minus 4, and we're going to add 4 equals 11 plus 4. Now the reason I'm adding 4 is so that my negative 4 will cancel. Now when that happens, that's gone. All that's left is 3n, and it's equal to 11 plus 4, which is 15. But we're not done. It's almost solved. We need to isolate the n for us to be finished. So this is 3 times n. So to isolate n, we have to get rid of this 3 somehow. Well, the division rule of equality says that if you divide both sides of an equation by the same number, it remains true. If I'm trying to get rid of this 3, well, by dividing by 3, I should be able to get rid of it. My 3's cancel. I'm left with n equals 15 divided by 3, which is 5. That's why it's called a two-step equation. If you need to, you can pause it. You can replay that problem over and go through the steps. Now I'm going to show you another example using the subtraction and multiplication rules. That's a good number. Okay. Now in this problem, we have n divided by 4 plus 2 equal to 8. Well, remember you do your addition and subtraction rules before you do multiplication and division. So, using the subtraction rule of equality, I should be able to subtract the same number from both sides to help me get rid of this 2. Because remember, I'm trying to isolate my variable. Okay? So let's go ahead and subtract 2 from both sides. Why I'm doing that is so I can get rid of this 2 on this side. So n over 4 plus 2. I'm going to say minus 2 on this side. And what's done to one side has to be done on the other. Okay, so plus 2 minus 2, those will cancel. And I'm left with n over 4 equal to 8 minus 2, which is 6. But that's the first step. Now we have the second step of our two-step equation. I have n divided by 4 equals 6. Well, the multiplication rule says that if I were to multiply both sides by the same number, it will still remain a true equation. Well, if this is n divided by 4, then I should multiply both sides of my equation by 4. Because remember, the number is divided by 4 and then multiplied by 4. The 4's will cancel. And I'll be left with n equal to 6 times 4, which is 24. And that's my answer. That's just two examples on solving two-step equations. Remember, you're trying to isolate the variable. But however you have to. You need to isolate the variable. But if you do something to one side of an equation, you have to do the same thing to the other side. If in your equation you have n plus 2, well then you need to move that 2 to the other side. So you need to subtract 2. But if you do it to one side, you need to do it to the other. If it's 8 times n or 8n, well then you need to divide by 8. If it's n divided by 3, well then you need to multiply both sides by 3 in order to isolate the variable. In solving any two-step equation, the object is to isolate your variable, because that's how you solve something. Something is solved once you have it by itself equal to something else. Like I said, this is just a trial run. We'll see how this works, and we will go over it in class tomorrow. So, hope you enjoy the video.